$100,000 from my mom's estate. And here I am just going, what's going on around here? Then all of a sudden, one day, since growing up here, I know quite a few people. In-home support, before it changed over, we weren't the employers. They changed around to protect their ass, because the DA or anybody else isn't liable. If you look at the Mercury News, you look at people with special needs trust, it's ugly how people are getting robbed. And just recently, I had to give up my caregiver, because I tell them right at the beginning, please always call. Say ahead if you're sick, please don't come over, and these things. But then we'll just say hypothetically, one's over, and I could tell there's something wrong. And they kind of mentioned that they're on Lunesta. And I know what that is. And next thing you know, they're in a rage, saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. The one that has a basic first aid and CPR and everything else. And basically, I'm being abused by in-home support. Nobody's watching them. And me giving them, I'm driving, he goes, let me move your car. And all of a sudden, basically, being the employer, I'm just getting ran over. There needs to be more accountability.
Well, I am sorry to hear about this situation.
Because a gentleman named Bob Molman, who passed away, a really nice gentleman, saw me, and he goes, you see all these people that's sitting up here, Medi-Cal, he goes, Paul, I want you to be on the in-home support advisory board. And stuff like that, because you'll speak up, you'll speak out. And he pointed out every person to get out. And all of a sudden, the first people to run out was Central Coast Alliance. And it was unspeakable.
So if I could respond, as I mentioned, for the last couple of years, there are requirements for IHSS providers to get clearance checks, background checks, so that these types of things that you're describing doesn't happen. That is not necessarily a surefire way. There still could potentially be problems. And that's why it's really important, the things that Phil was saying, if you start picking up a vibe, whether it's either for yourself or for a loved one, that something is not right, it is very important to report that to somebody, whether it be APS, whether it be law enforcement, whether it be just dismissing that caregiver, and we do have resources to find another caregiver quickly. But really, it's very, very important. Going back to the question up at the front, it's never too late to do something. You're the employer. You're the one in the driver's seat. I always advise people, don't worry about politeness or making a mistake. If you're feeling uncomfortable, do something about it, or tell somebody so that they can help you do something about it.
Thank you. And I just want to say this is excellent, and I'm very grateful for all this good information. I am helping a neighbor of mine whose wife is in hospice care and has some amazing drugs for pain relief, and now her husband is really unable to care for her, and they're looking at hiring someone, and their concern now is the drugs that are available. Does anyone have any experience, and what words of caution would you put out for people that might get into substance abuse and that sort of thing?
Well,
Bring you the microphone.
I had an experience because my aunt is also on hospice status right now, and it was recommended that we do a log sheet. I know it's a lot of work, but you count the quantity of the drugs, especially if you have morphine in an emergency packet, and lorazepam, those types of drugs. Those can be taken from anybody, and you're liable from the house. But there are the log sheets that I think hospice can provide you. Some of these forms are so difficult to find, and I don't know if you can get an agency or online. A lot of the forms I've been finding online, just by the trick word, the main word, you can find a free form. But there are some resources out there that you I'm sure you could call maybe hospice or get a log sheet. And the other thing we do is we keep them in a locked room. And we have one person designated to disperse the drugs in her daily, weekly or bi-weekly little pill boxes. And like the morphine is only given as needed on an emergency basis. But we have talked about, using that quantity sheet like they would in a hospital or a home health care facility, because that's what they have to do too. I know being at home is so different than being in a facility, because there's so many regulations in a facility, but you don't have those same regulations in your home. So it's a learning experience for everybody. And I have to say, with the way healthcare is going now, what's going to happen? There's so many more people that want to be in their home, like my aunt. It's in writing. She wants to be there, but her children wanted to put her in a facility. So that's been a struggle too. So, but there's ways to do that, to count those pills.
That is what we do. Once those heavy-duty narcotics are in the home, we have a med log, and the caregivers at the handover, they count all the narcotics and they both sign off. So if any narcotics are missing, you can tell exactly when it's happened.
I would just like to mention another option that no one's spoken of, and I have experience with this, and it's called Senior Network Services. If anybody's looking for a caregiver, they require an application. We have to show ID. We do a background check, and they also do an interview. And they don't exactly supervise us, but they do follow-ups, and they also hear back from the people that they place their caregivers with. So if any of you are interested in pursuing that option, and it's $15 an hour.
And their staff cares and does a good job of placement.
They do.
They do.
There's a brochure here from Senior Network Services, and it has the phone number as well as listed as one of the services they provide.
So again, I just want to thank our panelists today, and I really wanted to mention that today was a collaboration between some various entities, the county, Senior Network Services, Alzheimer's Association, Seniors Council, District Attorney's Office, and we're just really pleased that we were able to do this event today. I hope it was helpful and informative.